Good afternoon. I'm Reverend Deborah Cayer. I'm the lead minister here at Eno River ERUUF Fellowship, and it is my great joy and my privilege to welcome you here this afternoon to this joyous occasion, to this ordination. And now, logistics. If you are unfamiliar with this building and you need a restroom, it is out through those doors to the right, and there are some rooms right there. If you should get a little bit restless, or anyone who's with you, you're welcome to join folks in the chapel. That's a great place to see and hear the entire service and still be able to move around. If you are looking for child care, it is over in the next building, in the Cayer building. And finally, everyone is invited after this ceremony across the way to the fellowship hall to join us for some refreshments and celebration. And so at this time, I invite you, if you haven't already done so, to please turn your cell phones or pagers or electronic devices to vibrate or silent mode. And take a deep breath and prepare for worship. And now I invite you to rise in body and or spirit and sing the processional hymn, Wake Now My Senses, which is printed in your order of service.
Wake now my senses.
invite you to join me in the spirit of prayer. Spirit and holy mystery beyond all naming, we gather this late summer afternoon with joy to celebrate the call of one among us to the ministry. For more than 40 years, Mary Frances Comer has heard its whisper, felt its pull. And now, after dedication and sacrifice, she has found a way to make manifest in the world what has always been true in her heart. We are called here today by her creativity, her love and humor, her persistence, and especially by her dedication to a life of kindness and compassionate service, to walking with others on their journey. We give thanks today for the love and support given to her by her chosen family and many friends, by the members of the congregation she's been part of and has served. We give thanks for all the folks who drove from Charlotte, North Carolina to Durham. We give thanks for her beloved colleagues who have traveled with her on this journey. May our hearts be open this afternoon by her courage and her commitment. May we who gather this day be inspired to grow in our capacity to love and to be of service. May it always be so. Blessed be. Amen.
Our presence together and support of one another, whether in this sanctuary or in our hearts, creates beloved community. Tonight, we are here to affirm a call to ministry. In the words of Elizabeth M. Strong, today we celebrate a dream awakening. Today we worship with renewed hope in our hearts. Today we act on an audacity of hopes and dreams for the future. Today we begin the hard work of justice, equity, and compassion in all human relations. For today is a day like no other, and it is ours to shape with vision and action. Let us worship together and celebrate a dream awakening.
We light this chalice this evening to honor both the fullness of the past, which grounds us, and the vision of the future, which calls us forward in faith. May this light be a beacon illuminating our paths and kindling a blazing flame of hope and courage within our hearts.
In 2008, I met Mary Frances for the first time at the Episcopal Divinity School in Cambridge, Massachusetts. You know, Cambridge is where Harvard is, which is just outside of Boston. So you know it? Good, I'm glad. But before I go any further, I would like to set the record straight. On occasion, it has been said that I have a thick accent, and I just want to clear it up that I'm not from Boston. Even though I met Mary Frances in Boston, I'm not from Boston. I did meet Mary Frances in seminary, and Mary Frances has heard a small, still voice calling in the night, and she began a journey that changed her life forever. Since I've known Mary Frances, I have come to know her pretty well, and some of the qualities that I admire about her are the same qualities that I think will make for a fabulous minister. One of the qualities I admire about her is her gift of generosity. Mary Frances is a giver. She gives without asking anything in return. She gives money without thinking about how the person she's giving it to is going to spend it. She often gives gifts for no particular reason other than just because she wants to. She gives freely of her time, and even when she is busy, she will sit and listen. I believe Mary Frances's gift of generosity will make her a great minister. Another quality that I admire about Mary Frances is her gift of hospitality. Mary Frances has the ability to make people of all kinds feel comfortable. She is easy to be with. She has the ability to invite people in, and she welcomes them with open arms. I believe Mary Frances' gift of hospitality will make her a warm and loving minister. Another quality I admire about Mary Frances is her gift of creativity. She has a great gift to take simple elements like clay or paint and paper or words and turn them into works of art that touch people. Mary Frances' creativity, I believe, gives us a glimpse into her creative soul. The beautiful picture on the front of our service guide is something that Mary Frances created and is an example of her creative energy. I believe her creative energy will allow Mary Frances to be creative not only in her personal life, but also in her liturgy and worship. I know Mary Frances' creativity will help her to be a minister who is able to think outside the box. I could go on about all the qualities I believe will make Mary Frances a great minister, like her gift of empathy, her gift of compassion, her great laugh, her ability to pick herself up and find the silver lining when life gives her dark clouds. But Mary Frances, if you want me to go on, you're going to have to cough up some more money. Seriously, a list of Mary Frances' qualities would not be complete if I did not mention her love of fossils. I'm not completely clear on how her love to dig around in mud and muck will make, and find some shark teeth or some ancient bones, will make her a better minister. But I am sure that her passion for fossils she will find a way for them to make her a better minister. Mary Frances asked me to read this poem this afternoon. It's from a poem written called The Bone. It's by Mary Oliver. I understand. I am always trying to figure out where the soul is and where hidden and what shape. And so last week, when I found on the beach the ear bone of a pilot whale that may have died hundreds of years ago, I thought maybe I was close to discovering something. For the ear bone is the portion that lasts longest in any of us, man or whale. Shaped like a squat spoon with a pink scoop, where once, in the lively swimmer's head, it joined its two sisters in the house of hearing. It was only 2 inches long, and thought, the soul might be like this, so hard, so necessary, yet almost nothing. Beside me, the gray sea was opening and shutting its wave doors, unfolding over and over, its time ridiculing roar. I looked, but I couldn't see anything through its dark knit glare. Yet don't we know the golden sand is there at the bottom, though our eyes have never seen it, nor can our hands ever touch it, lest we would sift it down into fractions and facts and certainties. And what the soul is also, I believe, I will never know, though I play at the edges of knowing. Truly I know our part is not knowing, but looking and touching and loving, which is the way I walked on softly through the pale pink morning light.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Denise Rhymes, and I have the great privilege and honor of serving in a leadership capacity in the Southeast District of the Unitarian Universalist Association. And one of the great joys of serving in a leadership capacity, besides attending meeting after meeting after meeting, is the rites and rituals like ordinations. Our faith is comprised of so many who minister and share, and we are better and richer for being among them. For those who undertake the arduous task to complete formal training for ministry, we are deeply grateful for their efforts, their sacrifices, both personal and financial, we know, and their commitment to Unitarian Universalism. Mary Frances is no exception. What great gifts she brings to us through her life experiences, her formal training, her informal training, her commitment, and her passion. In a sermon that I read that Mary Frances offered last year at our Lake Norman congregation, she spoke about the confidence and self-assurance with which most of us come into this world. It manifests itself when we are children, through all of our crazy antics, and for some of us well into our adulthood, and throughout our lives. But messages of caution and doubt are offered to us, and we begin to believe less and less in ourselves. Negative words and even lack of encouragement turn us from being youthful daredevils into self-doubting, fearful, and sometimes sad individuals. We are here today to honor Mary Frances's message that our words should be a gift wrapped with a silver bow on top. So, Mary Frances, on behalf of all of us throughout both the district and the region and the entire association, we welcome you to ordained ministry with all of the joy and optimism that we have. The courage and the commitment that you bring are a great gift, and we honor you as you enter this new phase of your spiritual journey. And so go ahead, ride that bike over a big hill without holding on to the handlebars. We'll cheer for you and grab you as you make a perfect landing, because we all believe in you. All of our best blessings to you.
It's a tradition at installations and ordinations to take a collection for the Unitarian Universalist Living Tradition Fund. This is a fund that supports all phases of ministry. We have longtime ministers who have faithfully served, who are retired, who did not serve when ministry was so well advocated for as some of it is today. And some of them are in great need, and this fund supports some of their needs that are unmet. It also supports future ministers, people going into ministry who also have tremendous needs at times. And so we gather and we give from our hearts, and we support the future of this wonderful ministry. So at this time, you see plates coming around, and so they shall.
Wow. As some of you know, I am a new mother, and I'm a minister with almost 15 years' experience. Yes, I came late to the ministry too. My wife, yes, younger, gave birth to twins nearly 8 weeks ago. This is the first time either of us have lived with babies. There is no question that we love those children, one boy, one girl. Both of us are full-time Unitarian Universalist ministers, and professional loving is our job. We are in the love business. I won't speak for her, but I'd like to confess that the past 7 weeks and 4 days have been quite a challenge, especially in the I am loving every minute of this department. Perhaps you can see that I am maturing at a faster clip than I was before. Yet I want you to know it is not just the lack of sleep that is aging me. The hardest and most stressful part in this new experience of parenting for me has been the regular and relentless occurrence of feeling inadequate. I didn't expect to feel so full of not knowing so often. And that makes me feel inadequate too, because I didn't expect it. Feeling inadequate on such a regular basis is part of being in the ministry. Newsflash. Or at least it is for me. But I must have gotten used to it some time ago. This parenting thing comes with a whole new measure of not knowing what to do, of feeling like you're at your wit's end. It gets so bad you begin to wonder how any child survived its parents' exhaustion. Of course, I try to make others think I am supermom with the cutest kids ever born, not unlike how I try to make people believe I am super minister and can take on any challenge with my we can do this mojo. But to be honest with you, I regularly get in that place where I have done all that I am trained to do or can think to do, and it isn't enough. I've fed you, burped you, changed your wet diaper, clothed you, swaddled you, and now I'm rocking you, and still there is no rest for you or for me. Nothing I do is soothing you or us into a state of calmness. Yes, I have been struck by how much like ministry this parenting thing is. Then I remind myself that always pretending to be in control is really a form of idolatry, and that my job is to be human and not God. One of my favorite theologians, the writer Annie Lamott, tells a story in her book, Operating Instructions, a journal of my son's first year, that has helped to remind me what posture I need to adopt when I haven't a clue what to do next. She had heard about this young mother, who was also a writer, who had taken her 2-year-old to a rented condo to stay for a short vacation. The bedrooms in that condo had heavy blackout curtains. So when it came time for her child to take a nap, hoping she could get some work done, this mom settled him down in his playpen and shut the door as soon as he seemed to be asleep. In a little while, she heard him knocking on the closed door. He had woken up and crawled out of the playpen and was trying to get her attention. She heard him calling out, "Mommy, Mommy." When she tried the door from her side, she realized that he had inadvertently pushed the little knob on his side that locked the door to the bedroom. He was in the dark, and she couldn't get to him. Trying to convey a sense of control and calmness, she asked her 2-year-old to jiggle the doorknob. Of course, he couldn't do that, They didn't yet speak the same language, and he didn't know what jiggle the doorknob meant. He must have realized, though, that she couldn't open the door because he began to sob. Then she full out panicked. She ran to get the phone number and call the rental office. No one answered. She went to get the front door key and try that on the bedroom door. It didn't work. She ran back and forth several times, frantic. Finally, she did the only thing she could, which was to slide her fingers underneath the door where there was a 1-inch space. She kept telling her son over and over to bend down and find her fingers. Finally, somehow, he did. So they stayed like that for a really long time, on the floor, holding onto their fingers in the dark. Like finding the ear bone of a whale at the beach, the not knowing dissolved into touching, loving. She wanted to get up from the posture of holding her fingers under the door and call the fire department, dial 911, call the rental office again. But she knew being present with her son was the most important thing she could do. Once he was calm, and perhaps she was a little more too, she began to tell him again and again to reach up and open the door. And finally, somehow, he did. Journaling about the first year of her parenting with her own son, wishing for operating instructions, during the year of feeling her own overwhelming inadequacy, Annie Lamott reflected on this story about this woman. I kept thinking of that story, she writes, how much it feels like I'm the 2-year-old in the dark, and God is the mother, and I don't speak the language. She could break down the door if that struck her as being the best way, and ride off with me on her charger. But instead, due to my friends and my church and my shabby faith, I can just hold onto her fingers under the door. Just hold on. It isn't enough, and it is. It isn't enough, and it is. Those of us with the same sort of shabby faith know God isn't likely to come to our rescue on her big horse. We know, too, that it is sometimes helpful for our friends, those with more experience, to share what they have done that worked when they were on the other side of a locked door, in the middle of the night. In the middle of a night when you have a sermon to complete and the babies won't stop crying. In the middle of a congregational conflict when the babies won't stop crying. Mostly, though, I find that when friends or church members or experts suggest a fix for my problem, or when I do that we have all missed the point. I need someone to just reach under the door and hear and hold my mostly unexpressed feelings of inadequacy. We all need to be heard. Just hold me while I am unable to figure out what to do. Somehow I will. I am so sure God is off doing God things, so I don't usually ask her for help. Yet maybe if you hold my fingers, I will see her standing near, telling us both what's what, even when we don't yet speak her language. I am just beginning to learn, or to learn again, that one of the most important things that you can do for me and that I can do for you is just hold on in the dark. Touch fingers under the door. Be fully present. Then I can hear again and again, and just reach up until suddenly the door pops open. From Mary Oliver's Bone, truly I know, our part is not knowing, but looking and touching and loving. When I was a college student, I loved taking Old Testament courses from one Dr. Priest at Florida State University. He was fond of telling us naive and innocent and sometimes brainwashed youngsters that the God of the covenant, the God of the Israelites, thought that the sin of idolatry was the worst one. This God told his would-be people that if they came upon icons or graven images that attempted to freeze him, that made him or her into concrete or stone or marble, they ought to smash that idol. This God was not to be caged or captured. In order to be real and really with and for his people, this God had to be free, as did his people. Free of concrete, or stone, or marble. Free of ideals or preconceived notions. Free of I can'ts. My professor was fond of teaching us that the religiously liberal writers hiding in and around the Old Testament were trying to tell us that the God of the covenant could only be experienced by engagement, by relationship, by our ability to be present when God was present. We live our human lives behind heavy, locked doors, using different languages. And sometimes, we hear living whales long dead that have left only their tiny earbones. We all crave soul-to-soul time. To be human is to be inadequate, to most of the time not know what to do. If we think we know, let it go every now and then and get on with being human again. To be faithfully human, and for that matter, faithfully a minister, is to stand in the calm center of, it isn't enough, and it is, and let it be. I had a friend long ago, some years after those college religion classes, who used to have her own personal smashing idols practice. For some reason unknown to me, her guiding philosophy was not to let herself be too attached to things. Whenever she thought there was the danger of getting too attached, especially to a beautiful object, she'd take a hammer to it. I watched her more than once take a beautiful thing out in the backyard and smash it to bits. A little dramatic, perhaps, but it reminded me of Dr. Priest and his teaching about the sin of idolatry. I am not in control. Neither is a possession, a preconceived notion, an ideal. I am sometimes inadequate, often, perhaps, inadequate. Smash that. Take it out in the backyard and smash it. I'm enough. You're enough. We're all enough. My professor made it very, very clear that what life wants is our presence, and it is enough. Worshipping ideals or icons or our own expertise, and certainly our sense of control, is false worship. The God I learned about from my religiously liberal, social justice-focused professor of Old Testament studies wanted me to be human, fully human. We were meant to be full of anxious moments in the dark, full of troubles, often of our own creation, full of moments when it is enough and it's not. Our part is not knowing, but looking and touching and loving. Remember that there will be those times when reaching under the locked door is all that is required to be in the love business. That is the mystery of ministry, what it is to be human. Blessed be.
Mary Frances, thank you for being. Thank you for inspiring me with your fearless honesty. And thank you for the service that you've done and the service that you commit to today. Someday we will walk the way. Someday we will walk the way. Someday we will walk the way. Now someday we will walk the way. We'll walk the way of Jesus of Nazareth. Walk the way of Mahatma Gandhi. Walk the way of the Dalai Lama. Walk the way of Nelson Mandela. Walk the way of the Prophet Muhammad. Walk the way of the Supreme Buddha. Walk the way of Martin Luther King. Now the way of Mother Teresa. Someday we will walk the way. 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 Now someday we will walk the way. We'll serve the poor. We'll feed the hungry now. We'll have the homeless. We'll heal the lame. We'll bury the bombs. We'll teach the children. Forgive each other. Forgive ourselves. Someday we will walk the way. Someday we will walk the way. Someday we will walk the way. Now someday we will walk the way. The only mandate the prophets tell us is we're to create heaven on earth. Everything else is mere distraction. We're here to create heaven on earth. Someday we will walk the way. Someday we will walk away. Someday we will walk away. And someday we will walk away. Our only mandate, you know, the prophets tell us, is we're to create heaven on earth. Everything else is mere distraction. We're here to create heaven on earth. We'll serve the poor, we'll feed the hungry, we'll house the homeless, we'll heal the lame, we'll bury the bums, we'll teach the children, forgive each other, forgive ourselves. Someday we will walk away. Someday we will walk away. Someday we will walk away. Now someday we will walk away. 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 Now someday we will walk away. Someday we will walk away. Someday we will walk away.
In the living tradition of Unitarian Universalism, the authority to confer ordination lies wholly with each individual congregation. It is a meaningful and joyous occasion when a congregation joins together, as we have, to recognize one who has answered the call to ministry as her life's work. The act of ordination not only confers the authority of religious leadership, but also celebrates the relationship between Mary Frances and this religious community. Mary Frances, in our eyes and in our hearts, you are a minister. Today we, your teaching congregation, confirm your calling. Are you prepared to embark formally and fully upon the path of ministry?
I am.
Did you hear that? She says, I am? Okay. Will the members of Eno River Unitarian Universalist Fellowship please stand as you are willing and able? And we will read together in your order of service. We, the members of Eno River Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, hereby ordain you, the Reverend Mary Frances Comer, to the Unitarian Universalist ministry. We charge you to minister faithfully with your mind, your heart, and your hands, to speak the truth in love, and to tell of the ineffable wonder and mystery of life. For those you serve, we would have you encourage their spiritual growth, share their many joys and sorrows, and celebrate the living tradition of our faith. Doing so with love and compassion, may you do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with the Spirit. We send you forward into your ministry and pledge to walk with you in the unity of the Spirit, the bond of peace, and in the ways of truth and love. You may be seated. Will all others who wish to add their love and encouragement to this ceremony please rise in body or spirit to join in affirmation of this ordination? And we will read together. Mary Frances, with joy and pride, we affirm your ordination. May your ministry nourish you and become a source of healing in this world. Let the people say amen. Amen.
Mary Frances, you have brought much energy and inspiration to this fellowship, along with a lot of fun and laughter. It's only natural that the Spiritual Threads group wanted to share our own sense of creative inspiration, friendship, and fun by creating a stole for you. May this stole enfold and embolden you. May its textures be a touchstone for your memory, including your memory of us. May it make you even more colorful, reminding you of who you are and who you are always becoming. But wait, someone famous said, a girl can't have too many stoles. So I'm inviting Candace and Lana up and Michelle for a second presentation.
Lana and I are here on behalf of the Justice Council of ERUUF, and we have commissioned this beautiful stole by Michelle Hodgson, who will have a moment to share her words. But we know that passion is at the very core of your being, passion for justice, and so this is for you, Mary Frances.
Sometimes when you make something, it comes with words, and the words that came with this are, may the water and the heavens support you in your work, with justice in your heart and peace in your steps.
But wait, there's more. So Mary Frances, would you all come on over here? And this is what we're going to do. We are going to lay on some hands. The laying on of hands is an ancient religious tradition, a ritual in which sacred power is transmitted through one person to another. In the Jewish tradition, God first gave this power to Moses, and it's been continually passed from person to person ever since. In our covenantal tradition, we vary in our beliefs. Some believe that the source of our power comes from God. Others believe that power naturally exists within our own human hearts, our own human minds, our human hands. Whatever we each believe about its source, we tend to believe that power exists inherently within us. It's a human capacity too. At the same time, we also recognize that there's a tremendous power that exists as a possibility between us, creative interchange. Our power becomes sacred when we turn it toward ultimate and worthy ends. It's our sacred duty to use our power for good. And so it's with great joy that today we use our sacred power to recognize and bless the calling of Mary Frances Comer into the Unitarian Universalist ministry, into ordained religious leadership. So would you please stand front and center? And I want to invite your friends who are sitting with you and your family to come forward. And I want you to, if you can, if you're able, and reach out and touch Mary Frances. And I'd like friends from Charlotte who traveled all this way, would like all of y'all to come and reach out and put a hand on Mary Frances. And if you can't put a hand on Mary Frances, put a hand on someone who's got a hand on Mary Frances. And I would like the colleagues, her ordained colleagues, to come forward or lean forward. And as you're able, put a hand on someone who has a hand on Mary Frances. And folks in the pews, you have part of this too. We are all in this together. And so please, would you rise in body or spirit and lean forward, some of you in the front, and maybe lean forward. You can come forward, lean forward. Just touch someone who is touching Mary Frances. And we are going to be connected into a web of human possibility, a great web of life, a great web of love. And if you're in the back and you are on crutches, just send your love down here. Just beam it down here. We know you can do it. We're beaming back at you. Holy Spirit of life and love, Today we know you as possibility, sacred possibility, especially as it exists within Mary Frances, beloved daughter, sister, aunt, friend, colleague, and already beloved minister. Today we open our hearts and minds and send our love and faith flowing toward her through our touch, through our hands. Today we recognize and bless with our recognition all that we have long seen shining from within her, her humor and compassion, her kindness and genuine presence, her passion for both beauty and justice, the wonder of her fossil hunting and her tenderness toward all living creatures, the natural way she leans toward anyone who's suffering or in pain, and how she does this with openness and great presence. Today we pray for Mary Frances' strength and courage. Our touch is loving, but it can be heavy as our expectations. And so we ask, oh God, that you help her day by day, minute by minute, meet the challenges of being present to pain and suffering, to injustice, and also to life's great joy. And that you be with her as she rises to accompany, befriend, witness, challenge, and to speak and act with love, always, always with love. May Mary Frances ever be open to possibility and opportunity, especially in their scaly, messy forms. May she ever whistle and pray, draw and paint. May she ever preach and teach and lead with you as her source of strength and renewal. May her ministry help others find their own direction into greater relationship with you, Holy Spirit, their own source of wholeness and holiness, their own sacred power to love and serve the world. May Mary Frances' ministry bring her joy. May her ministry bring her fulfillment and great peace, even as she takes up the sacred work of repairing the world. May we walk together with her in the ways of truth and love. May it be so this day and evermore. And together, let the people say, Amen.
sing a praise, I sing a joy, I sing in harmony. I know there's something deep inside that wants to be set free. Gonna lift my voice today. Lift up your voice higher. I'm singing, you're singing, we're singing. Sing unto the Lord. Sing out proud. Sing out strong. Lift your voice loud and long. Sing out proud. Sing out lift your voice. Nobody sings the way you do. Nobody sings like me. I sing a praise, I sing a joy, I sing in harmony. I know there's something deep inside that wants to be set free. Gonna lift my voice today. I'm singing, you're singing, singing. I'm singing, you're singing, we're singing. I'm singing, you're singing, we're singing. Joyful, unto the Lord. Higher.
I don't remember much about the day, what else was on my calendar, what I was worried about or excited about, what happened before or after. I do remember the conversation. A relatively new member of the congregation, a newcomer to our liberating religion, who had scheduled time for us to talk. And in the course of it, in the telling of a life's story, came the clear and unequivocal claim that from an early age she knew she was called to be a professional minister. Oh, what an arc from that day to this evening. What a journey. What a journey, my sister, my colleague, the now Reverend Mary Frances Comer.
Sounds good.
That great master Czesław Miłosz wrote it like this: how then could I not be grateful if early I was called and the incomprehensible contradiction has not diminished my wonder? Early came that call, and that day in my office you sounded grateful and still full of wonder. But yours was not a life of professional ministry. You'd given yourself to academics and were busy running from campus to campus, city to city, even state to state. If there was such clarity in a calling, why was it left unanswered? Here's what I remember vividly, poignantly. No. No. That's what you'd heard. When as a young woman you attested, bore witness to your call, the response you heard was no. No. It couldn't be true. No, it mustn't be true. No, it will never be true. You just aren't right. You don't fit the description of the called. You are mistaken. And these naysayers, as naysayers always do, attempted to drown out the summons, tried to talk it out of you and you out of it. We assemble here today because I am happy to say, in fact, to be honest, I'm a little proud, a little smugly, even sanctimoniously proud to say they failed. They failed. Those with their notions of call, of calling, of the call that were so narrow, so exclusive, so full of judgment, they failed. We're here singing and praying and speaking and touching you into the fullness of that early call precisely because they were plainly and simply wrong. I told you then, I can tell all these others now, I suspected in that very first conversation that they were wrong. And as much as I do hate to have to admit it, well, I was right. What you said rang true the first time you said it to me, and today we bear witness that you did indeed know exactly what you were talking about. So before I charge you to, I want to charge you, Reverend Comer, I want to charge you with, to press certain charges against you. I charge you with exhibiting tenacious persistence, the unrelenting determination to hold on and keep on despite long odds and the lack of support from the places where you should have been able to expect it. I charge you with demonstrating obstinate commitment, starting down a difficult path of preparation and sticking to it, deftly jumping hoop after hoop after hoop. I charge you with reflecting as much as anything else, wide open heartedness, with delving down deep into the well of compassion and sharing generously what you found there with all the rest of us. With time running short, I pronounce myself not just prosecutor, but judge and jury, and I hereby declare that there is more than ample evidence to find you fully compliant with each of these charges, with tenacious persistence, with obstinate commitment, with wide open-heartedness. So now my charge to you, my sister in this ministry. I charge you to be tenaciously persistent, obstinately committed, and most of all, compassionately open-hearted. First to yourself, then to those you serve, and also to this world that needs what you have to offer it. Oh, you know this by now. A day, even a day as fine, as sparklingly fine as this, doesn't change the whole course of things. You didn't come into this room as Mary Frances, only to leave as Reverend Comer. Ministry has been forming in you for a long, long time. And the traits that have served you and sustained you were not training wheels to be removed, but are the very soul, the very marrow of your very being. And these traits, your tenacity, your commitment, your beauty-filled compassion, these are what you need, what you'll need to continue being formed every single day as a minister forever in the making. It won't ever get worked out. It won't ever get worked out. Having started on this path 3 decades ago, I can tell you it won't really ever get any easier. The demands will be more difficult than those put forth by any seminary professor, even an Episcopalian seminary professor. The questions will be tougher than anything even the most malicious MFC panel has ever dreamed up. The need to juggle and decide and go on some days in complete and utter weariness, in profound and heart-wrenching sorrow, and that astounding mix of immense joy and deep grief will be greater even than those of your inconceivably nutty schedule and considerable hard heart knocks over these past few years. And without your abiding awareness that what has carried you to this point will continue to be present as necessary resources, you will find yourself looking beyond for what you will only ever discover within. What I'm really trying to say is, I charge you to be Mary Frances Comer, even as you are now the Reverend Mary Frances Comer, because you were always worthy. You were always enough. You were called, and you are being called, and you will continue to be called. The no's, well, they'll persist too, always. There will always be the naysayers, but the ones trying to talk you out of this, the ones hoping to foster fear in you, the voices from inside your own head and beyond, they'll continue, if you stay true, they'll continue to be wrong. I charge you, my beloved sister in ministry, I charge you to be who you are and to know that is all you can be, and to know also that is enough. That is enough.
The tradition of the hand of fellowship goes back a long way. We first see it mentioned in the letter to the Galatians by the Apostle Paul, when he says that he and Barnabas were extended the right hand of fellowship. It's a recognition of membership, but also of covenant. In the Unitarian Universalist tradition, the hand of fellowship is offered to a newly ordained minister to recognize the bond between this new minister and all other Unitarian Universalist ministers. It's not a secret handshake. You learn as admission to our private little club. First of all these people are here, so clearly it can't be secret. And second, we tell you about that at ministry days. Instead, it is the formal recognition by you and by us of a covenant, a promise. So before I offer you this hand in fellowship, let me tell you what you and we are promising. And then you can figure out if you really do want to shake my hand. The first promise, be there for your colleagues. If a colleague calls, you take the call. If you can't take the call right then and there, you call back, but you don't leave a colleague hanging. Now, in your ministry, there will be days when everything is just completely haywire. Things are breaking all around you. Somebody's in your office crying. Oh, and you're wondering, when am I going to have a moment to breathe? And I'm going to guarantee you it will be that time that your colleague will call. Take the call. Breathe later. And we make this promise to you. We will be there for you. When you call us, we will take your call. But here's the second promise you must make. Pick up the phone and call. None of us can do this work alone. And when we think that we can, we are in deep trouble. So make the call. And make sure you have at least one colleague whom you can call no matter the hour of the day. Yep. Now, the third promise is to show up, especially when you're invited. Sometimes you show up even if you've not been invited. So show up for ordinations, installations, weddings, baby dedications, and always if you can, for funerals and memorials. It is a great gift to bestow upon your colleagues when you are just present. So whenever possible, make the effort. Show up. The fourth promise is the promise of yes. Always say yes to your colleagues more than you say no. If you must say no, say no. And here is our promise to you. If you tell us no, we will graciously accept hearing no. But say yes if you can. Become and remain an active member of the Unitarian Universalist Ministers Association. Get involved. You can affect the lives of so many of your colleagues by serving the UUMA. I know the dues are not cheap, but hey, nothing worth something is cheap. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, always remember, you are one in a very long line of ministers who have come before you and ministers who are not yet even born. So promise to always uphold the dignity of this calling. It is not an easy one, you already know that. And it does not always receive the respect that it is due. But it is up to you and me and each of us to always represent this calling with dignity and with honor. Now, given all that,
I've studied the origin of the word benediction this week. It comes to us from two Latin words, bene and dicere, and it is a noun of action. It means to speak well of and to bless others. In my studies, I found no reason why a benediction cannot last for 15 to 20 minutes. Thank you. I know it's benediction time, but I have to say thank you to each of you. We are beloved community. I have held in my hand through this service the fossilized ear bone of a whale. It's very small. Looks very much like a human ear. I found it on the shores of the Savannah River. I love the reading from Mary Oliver, who says, "She may never quite know what the soul is, but she plays at the edges of knowing," saying, instead, our part is not knowing, and as Anne Marie said, it is looking and touching and loving. And so I commend you to do these things. And I offer you a benediction. May the Spirit of life and love bless you and keep you, lift up your countenance, and give you peace. Go in peace and walk in love this day and all the days to come. May it be so. Amen.
Amen. In your teal hymnal, Sia Hum, please rise in body and or spirit. Here we go. Sia Hum, Batukan Yen Cuenco. 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 Sia Hamba, Hamba, Sia Hamba, Sia Hamba, Tukan Yen
Mary Frances.